Hey Stampers, Diane Divich here with DDStamps.com, and I am here coming from my stamp room. I'm having a few computer issues, so bear with me. Hopefully you can hear me. If you can hear me, let me know in the comments. Let me pull those up so I can actually see them. Anyway, if somebody could let me know if you can hear me, because moments ago my computer told me that it didn't have an audio. So hopefully you hear me. I'm just going to keep plugging away and go through what I need to go through here for this baby. Oh, there it is. Never mind. All right. So the other thing I'm dealing with, oh good, Karen can hear me. Yay! That means that people can hear me. The other thing I'm dealing with is we're in the middle of a snowstorm because it's April, and April in Red Lodge is our biggest snow month. And of course my dog just needed to go outside a few seconds ago. I don't know, she's out there somewhere, but she is probably going to bark and I'll have to go get her here momentarily. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and get started. A couple of things I wanted to go over tonight. Number one, the last chance list came out for this catalog. Oh good, Linda, you can hear me too. Great, that's perfect. The last chance list came out for the current catalog, and hey Mary Ellen, glad you made it. And so I want to kind of go over that in the online store, just to give you a few little pointers on how to find things in the online store. And for those of you who are customers of mine, or signed up to get a catalog, my catalogs have arrived. They're all packed up and in envelopes, ready to be postmarked or posted out to people. And I'm going to work on that over the weekend. It's going to take me a little bit of time, but I'm going to work on that over the weekend and hopefully get them all out at the beginning of next week to people. So if you've signed up for a catalog through me, or you have been a customer of mine over the last year, you will get one in the mail. I've added a couple little goodies in there so you can actually see the in colors, the new in colors that are coming out in the next catalog. And anyway, just wanted to let you know. So I'm going to quickly switch my screen. Hopefully this will work. Nope, that didn't work. Let's try it up here. I'm going to switch my screen. Yay! And I'm going to just walk you quickly through the online store so that those of you who want to look at the actual the online store and actually get some pointers on how to find the things that you need to find. So I'm just going to do it. It's going to be really quick. So to begin with, you're going to go up to menu. I have to move a couple of things out of my way here, so just a second. All right, so once you're in the menu, you can pick, if you want to shop products and you just want to see everything, you can click there. If you want to see what's new, you can click here. Anything that's special, you can click here. Or if you want to shop by, just click on that one and you can actually shop by ways to craft, getting started, whatnot. So let's just go to specials. This will show you what's new. So this will show all the new arrivals that have come in. This will show you the new mini catalog and the new scrapbooking brochure. And just so you're aware, the scrapbooking brochures now are done because Stampin' Up! Has put the scrapbooking stuff into the new catalog. Some of it. So anyway, all right, so we're going to go to specials, and then we're going to click on last chance. And when you scroll through here, you'll be able to see everything that's on the last chance list. And there's a lot. It's a lot to scroll through. And so one of the things that I would recommend to you is you can actually go over here and you can filter stuff right down to what you really want to look at. And in the last chance items, sometimes they are currently unavailable because there's more stock coming in. And so if it says currently unavailable or low inventory, means that it's probably going off the last chance list and heading right into the discontinued barrel. If it says low inventory. Currently unavailable just means that more stock is coming in. And then things that are available, which there's a lot available. I personally spent some time today with the last chance list because I hadn't had time since it came out. And I was quite surprised at some of the things that are going out and some of the things that are on sale. And so if you come over here to discounts applied, you can actually click whatever discount you want to see. I'm going to go with Let's go with 30 because that's a pretty good discount. And it will list everything that's at a discount. For those of you who like this pretty flop petal set, it's a really good deal. $9 for the stamp set and $7.50 for the dies, which you just don't see those prices. Anyway, you can actually go through here and it'll show you all the things that are on sale, and there's some pretty screaming good deals in here. So that's just another way to sort things through. Anyway, I just wanted to really quickly show that. I'll see if I can get back to where I was here. Here we go. Yay, I did it. Anyway, if you have questions and you struggle with the online store, let me know. It's really, it's pretty intuitive, and once you've played with it a little bit, you will find that it's pretty easy to work with. All right, let me grab the dog and then we'll get started. I'm going to split my camera. She loves to eat snow, and we don't have enough snow to eat yet, but you know, it's starting to pile up, and so she can start her eating snow routine. All right, so tonight's thing. Sorry, I'm still kind of messed up with my camera. Hopefully you still hear me. All right, so we're going to use Thankful Garden tonight. This happens to be my tutorial for the month of April. And I'm just going to show the cards and how I made them for my tutorial. You can get the tutorial by placing an order with me in April. And if you place an order with me in April, that's over $50, you will get all of the supplies for the cards that I'm making tonight. So we're going to use Thankful Garden and the decorative masks and the dies. And then we're also going to use, these happen to be my favorite dies right now, the textured note dies. I love these dies. It's a whole bunch of rectangle dies with lots of different texture in them. And so these are the dies I'm using tonight in my cards, just so you know. And that is the textured note dies. And then the designer series paper, as you can see, I just have a bunch of scraps in here. It's beautiful, floral, and then it's got black backgrounds and solids, these little flowers, a whole sheet of leaves. I like the dots. We're using that tonight, but we're actually going to change the color of it. So those are the colors that you get. There's a lot. Oh, there's one more too, but I used it all up. I used one of the sheets. I wasn't thinking, and I made a bunch of cards and gave them away. So, sorry. So the first card that we're going to make is this one. I've got all my supplies ready, I hope. I really worked hard to make sure I had everything ready. Anyway, as you can see, I used the textured note dies on the designer series paper. And it's layered with a little basic white. It's actually on fresh freesia cardstock. And I used fresh freesia and garden green ink. So these are the inks that I'm using tonight. Plus I'm using Memento, and I'm also using Versamark because I'm doing a little embossing. So this is the card we're going to make. I'm going to set that up there. You can actually see it. And here are my pieces. Hopefully I've cut them all. So this is the fresh freesia. It's a half a sheet of cardstock folded in half. That's my base. I have a couple of sheets here. So this is the piece that I'm actually going to cut. It's designer series paper, so it's fresh freesia on this side and then the green on that side. But we're going to use the fresh freesia side. And I'm going to use these frames. I seem to be using this frame a lot. This rectangle. Oh, that's not the one I use though. I use it a lot, but I don't use it on this card. All right, so I'm using this rectangle. It's the biggest one that we have. And I'm just going to put this on here and run it through my embossing machine. And I will be right back. My embossing machine actually sits on a table behind me so it doesn't make the camera. You know what? I cut this paper wrong. I'm going to stop what I'm doing. Grab another piece of paper. So I'm grabbing another piece of the designer series paper because this one is too thin. It should have been, yeah, see, it's not cut at 4 1/4, that's why. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this with this piece of paper. I'll be right back. front of the camera is because it would make everything shake and it would cause people to, I don't know, probably feel sick. All right, so I've cut that frame, and then I actually cut a piece of the basic white, and I just like the look of that being framed out. And so it's just, as you can see, I cut it just 1/8 of an inch wider than this. So I actually think that this is probably 4 by 5 1/4. All right, let me grab my adhesive. I can tell that all of my stuff is in the other room. I've been working on my club kit for next month. I'm going to talk about that a little bit tonight too. All right, so there's my layer. And again, it just is just a very, very small basic white frame around that designer series paper. And then this is going to go on the front. And then this piece I actually cut for the inside, so I'll go ahead and put that in for now. And I would, before I mailed these out to people, I would actually probably stamp them on the inside and decorate them a little bit, but I'm not going to tonight because I have a lot to show and it will take me all night. All right, so we're going to take another piece of basic white cardstock and we're going to bring in our masks. And you can do this a couple of different ways. So you can stamp the image first, and maybe I'll do that, and then use the masks. I'm going to show different ways because for some projects I like doing the masks first and then the stamping. But for this one it's fine to do the stamping. So I'm going to bring in my Memento ink. And I'm just using a black ink, and it doesn't matter if I use black Memento or if I use Stays on Black, because I'm not coloring this in with blends. I'm just using the stencils that we have. All right, so I'm going to put the hydrangea stamp on the block, open up the Memento ink, get that good and inked. Stamp this down. And I'm giving it a good firm press, even though I'm on this nice mat. That will help, but I want to make sure that I get a good sharp image. All right, and then I'm going to take my, so these are the masks, and there's 5 of them. 3 of them are for the flowers, 2 of them are for the different leaves. And I'll tell you what I learned. I personally like to, oh wait, that's not the mask I want. I want this big one. I want to start with number 1. And they're labeled up in the corner. It says what each one is. If I were beginning to do this mask, I would probably lay out a piece of paper and put a little notch in there so I knew exactly where to lay it. However, what I've found is once I've used them for quite a while, I can usually figure out how they go back on there. I didn't practice this afternoon, so. But eventually I will come around. There we go. All right. So you'll see how it lines up. And once you've done it several times, you will find it easy. So once I have that marked, I know that all the masks are going to come and fit in this. And so I'm just going to go ahead and draw that little notch. And that's going to help me line up every mask fairly quickly. So once I've got that done, oh, I probably should leave it there. Now, if you wanted to, if you didn't want to live on the edge and you wanted it to be lined up, you would probably tape this down with painter's tape. Maybe I'll grab some. I know the minute I say that and then I don't tape it down, it's gonna move on me. That's just going to help keep things in place. So then I'm going to grab my blending brush and I'm going to put ink on it. And I tap this around here to get ink on it. And one of the things I like to do is I tap it off because I want to start with less ink. It's better to start with less and add in more than get a big blob in the middle of your project. So I just really want this to be a light, and I can pick up that ink that I put there too and use that. But I just wanted it to be a really light fresh freesia. And there's the first layer. All right, then you come in with number 2, and we're going to line that up to that corner, and that's going to help us line this up like that. And what I'll tell you is, once you've done this a few times, pretty soon you don't have to line it up. You don't have to do the notch, because you just, once you've played with it a while, you figure it out. All right, so again, I'm going into my fresh freesia, I'm tapping it off again, and this time I'm coming in and I'm just doing it a little bit darker into this mask. I'm going to watch for comments or questions, so if you have any, please feel free. But you can start to see how you layer color and it starts to make that image pop. So now we're going to come in with mask number 3. Put it into the notch. Add a little tape. And this one's just going to be a little bit darker. Because this is going to give the shading to our flowers. I noticed that my Fresh Freesia ink pad is not super wet, which personally I like to do the masks when my ink pad's not saturated. And when you pull that off, then you start to see that flower build up. And then you're going to come in with the next 2. And again, it's going to line up with that corner. And I can tape this down. And this time I'm coming in with Garden Green ink. Oh, here it is. And just basically doing the same thing. So I'm coming in with Garden Green. I'm putting it in the brush in there, and then I'm tapping it off onto the plastic. Because I really want this to be light. I don't want it to be real dark to begin with, because I can always add more ink to my project. So there's the first layer. I just love how that looks. And then coming in with that next layer, and this is the last of the masks. Let me grab the tape. So again, we're going to line that up to that corner up here. Get it there, and then come in with green. And again, I want this to be just a little bit darker, so I can go directly on it. And when I pull that off, I have my image, which I just think it's so pretty, that hydrangea. And then I'm coming in with my Thankful Garden dies. And these dies are great. So I want to make sure I got them all, because sometimes they fall off. All right, so as you can see, it comes with the big flower images, but you also get leaves, several different leaves, and all of the images in the stamp set cut out. All right, so let's set that aside. I'll pull this die off. And I'm going to line this up with my hydrangea. And I'm going to come in with, I don't know what I did with my tape. Oh, here it is. I always use Post-it tape with my dies just to keep them so that they don't slide around. So I can put it where I want it and then tape it down. And that way it doesn't move. All right, let me go ahead and die cut this out. Pull this off. I save this tape for my next project. And there is my hydrangea. And so once I've got that done, then I can just come in here. Hi, Leanne. Hi, Jan. How are you? I'm looking for my tape, and it's sitting right here in front of me. All right. So this is going to just get placed on in the middle here somewhere. And then I'm going to take my I keep forgetting what the name of these dies are. The rectangles are the textured note dies. So I'm going to use this one here. Got kind of a fancy edge. And a piece of white. And you can do this one of two ways. You can actually stamp the sentiment. If you haven't lost your stamps, here they are. So you can stamp the sentiment first and then cut it out, or cut it out and then stamp the sentiment on there. Because it's a photopolymer set, and so you can see right through. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out first. I'll be right back. There we go. So I've gone ahead and cut out that little rectangle with those dies, and then I'm going to go ahead and ink up my Thankful for You friend. And this time I used Memento Black. So I'll ink that up. And like I said, because it's photopolymer, you can really see exactly where you're stamping it. And you get it right where you want it. I got a little mark right there, but we're not going to worry about that. All right, so once that's done, then you can see where I used some of the velvet faux ribbon. And this ribbon is so fine. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add some adhesive to the back of this. And then I'm going to take this ribbon and really just kind of loop it around. And because it's white on the back, fresh freesia velvet on the front. I just am kind of careful about how I do it so that the velvet part shows. Okay. So I just put a little adhesive on the back and then kind of do a squiggle. And then we're gonna, oh, scissors. And then we're just gonna trim that off. And then this piece is actually going to get put onto the card. Bring the card back in here. And you can kind of arrange this how you want it. That's just going to get put on there, and it's just for a little bit of texture, but I'm going to use dimensionals. Here's that big sheet I got for my paper pumpkin a couple months ago. Still using it. All right, so I put some dimensionals on there. Pull off my little papers. And add this to the front of my card. And then to top it off, I'm going to go ahead and use some of these really cute Starburst sequins, which are part of this suite, and just add them on in the Fresh Freesia color. I'm kind of chuckling because Fresh Freesia lately I'm pulling out for everything. And there's your first card. All right, so let's go on to the next card. Very similar. But this one I'm going to show you how I colored that designer series paper. So again, we're starting with a base of Fresh Freesia. I do change colors. I do go to Blueberry Bushel after this. All right, so once you've done that, I've got a piece of black that I'm going to use for a layer on this card. I'm going to go ahead and put that on there. So this again is just a layer, a very small frame for this designer series paper piece that I have, which I need to cut down to 5 1/4. So let me quick make one cut. All right, and so I have this piece of designer series paper, and it's this one on the other side, and it's back It's black and white on this side, but I really wanted it to be fresh freesia. I wanted it to coordinate with my card. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a piece of paper underneath this just to keep my mat so I don't get fresh freesia ink all over everything. And again, come in with my brush and just lightly put color onto this and change. I can change my design, any black and white designer series paper, to any color that I want. One of the things I love about black and white paper, because then you can just make it exactly what you want it to be. All right. And I'm just going to do the edges on the around it because I don't really need to do the middle because it's going to have a flower and another black frame inside there. So that's going to be good enough for that. This is going to go ahead and get added on to my card base. I hate covering that side up because it's so pretty, but... Oh, I have to cut this a little bit shorter. I forgot that I had that frame. I can tell you, it's not easy to cut your paper that has adhesive on the back of it in your paper cutter. But I got it unstuck. So there's that piece. So there's my card base ready to go. I'm going to go ahead with this piece is going to be a die cut. And it's going to be this size die cut. So I'm using a lot of the dies in that set. Let me go ahead and cut this. I find it funny that my phone and my internet and everything was having so many issues before, like minutes before I started. And now everything seems to be working fine. So, okay, so I cut, you can see the texture on that. Cut that off. This is going to just get layered onto here so that we have an even border. And then we're going to do our flower. So I'm going to bring in a piece of basic white. And we're going to go ahead and use, again, we're going to use, I'm trying to decide, should I go ahead, I'm going to do it this way this time. This time I'm going to, no, I'm not. I was not going to stamp it first, but I'm going to stamp it first. I have some other ones, I do some embossing with it, and that'll show you that technique. So like I said, you can stamp it first, or you can do the mask first and then do the stamping. All right, I'm just going to put that flower on the back of that one. Make sure it's on there totally. We'll ink it up with black. This is basically going to be kind of the same thing as the last card we did. Stamp that down. Make sure I press good and hard so that I got a good solid image. Cover up my ink pad so I don't end up with black ink all over everything. I'm going to go ahead and line this up, and as you can see, it's super easy because it's so big. However, if I wanted to, and I probably will, just so that you guys get used to doing that, when you first start with these, you know, line it up, mark that corner. And then you know that every mask after that will line up with that corner. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of painter's tape, my brush, my fresh freesia ink, tap it off, blend it in there. And again, start with a little bit of ink and work how dark you want to get it. I mean, you could work this really a lot and make it really dark and full. I might make this one a little bit darker than this one actually is. All right, so once I've got that, then I'm going to come in with mask number 2. Let me put those aside for a minute. So make sure the 2 is up, facing up. You could lay that into the corner as long as this piece down here didn't move it. I think I just moved it, but I can line it up fairly easy just by looking at the image. Like I said, once you've played with these for a while, you're like, oh, they line up really easy. All right, so once you've got that, you can see on this one here, like these lines on these stamped images line up with that mask. So again, if you want it to be precise, tape down your cardstock down below. All right, coming in with some fresh freesia ink. I am going to go darker this time. One of the things I seem to do with, especially with flowers, is like twist, you know, circular motion in the middle and work my way out. Because I think the inside of that flower would be darker. Or the shadows. And then you end up with that. And then you have one more that needs to come in. This one's probably a little bit harder if you haven't taped down your papers, but you'll be able to find it fairly quickly. So like there's a little piece here that kind of coordinates. All right, so there we're good. Ink it up and get that ink down in those crevices of this, in the shadows. And then you're going to come in, once you've done those three, then you come in with the other set of leaves. So let's bring in number 5. That's this one. Or number 4. So then we work with these other sets of leaves. One of the things that I found when I was playing with this, just with the masks, I would take a piece of cardstock, like a half a sheet of cardstock, and I would lay this down on it and do both flowers. So I could do 2 flowers on each, you know, two flowers on each sheet of cardstock, and then die cut them out. So I was able to make, you know, quickly make extra flowers that I just had die cut and ready to decide what I was going to do with them. All right, let me get this lined up. Taper down. This time we're coming in with green. Biggest mistake I make is using the wrong color. And color in those green leaves. And then if you want, you can come in with the next color of green leaves. And again, like I said, you'll be able to see exactly how those line up. Come in with some green. All right. And there is your flower. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and use the die cut for this one. Grab that die cut, and we'll go ahead and cut this one out. Masks are fun because they're so easy to work with that, you know, you can kind of mindlessly color your images while watching TV or doing something else, because it's so, you know, you're only using, really, I only use one color. Now you can mix and match colors. You can put all different colors into your layers of the various masks. I have only been using one color with these, but I have seen some demonstrators that have done like yellows and oranges and reds for each layer, and the flowers are absolutely stunning. I just haven't done that yet, so here is my flowers. Yeah, I do like the pink and the black together. It's really pretty. So this one is actually, I'm going to put that on there with dimensionals, because I got to have some dimensionals on there, a little bit of dimension. All right, let me pull these white things off. Check for questions. I love hydrangeas, Linda. So my daughter lives out on the coast of Oregon. And her neighborhood has hydrangea bushes all over. And they're beautiful. I love to go out there. They're just gorgeous. The bushes are just gorgeous. I just am blown away by how pretty they are. So I added a couple of starburs. And then I'm going to go ahead and tie a ribbon. And I really kind of finagled this ribbon because I wanted the velvet to show and not so much the white on the back. So when I came around to do my loop, see how I came there? And then when I come through here, I actually twist it and then pull it. Thanks, Lynn. And then once I've got my bow the way that I want it, I can go ahead and pull and turn and twist these a little bit. I will say that I'm not really fond of ribbon that isn't the same on both sides. Just because there's a lot of twisting and finagling you need to do to get it to work for you. All right, so then I'm going to put I actually put 2 on here because this is a pretty heavy, thick ribbon. 2 little glue dots. Then I got it stuck to my finger. And I'll put it on my card. And there's card number 2. Very pretty. I like those. All right. All right, so this next one, oh, and then I would put, this piece was to go inside, which I will decorate eventually. But I do like to put a little piece of white cardstock inside there just so that it has a place to write on. All right, so this next card, I'm going to show you a little die that we have in the set that people struggled to figure out what it was for. So we're going to make this card. However, while I was cutting cardstock, I realized I used up all of this paper. So I'm going to use this sheet, and we're going to change it up a little bit. But if you get the packet from me, you will get this sheet. I just had some friends over, and we were stamping, and I wanted to try something, and that was my favorite sheet of paper, and I used it all up. I was meant to save some so that I could show you guys this card, but that's all right. I'm just going to show you how you can use the tutorials that I do with different papers. You don't have to follow me exactly. All right, so I did layer this again. For some reason, I really liked the layering of the borders for this tutorial. I have a tendency to go in kind of spurts. And I do like that little 1/16 border around paper. This one's on basic white, but sometimes you could use any color. And this paper has tons of colors that coordinate with it. All right, so this is going to go onto my card base, which is Blueberry Bushel. And then I cut another piece of the same cardstock. It's that green kind of graphy looking paper. And I'm going to go ahead and just lay that across the middle. But that was just to kind of break things up. So on this one, on my original one, I did some of the white and black paper. I'm going to put that up there so you can see it. We are done with this ink pad. I'm going to get rid of that, move that out of the way. We'll come in with Blueberry Bushel. Blueberry Bushel is one of those colors that I never hardly used until recently. And now I seem to use it a lot. All right, this is going to be for the inside of my card. And I believe on this one I did add a little stamping. All right. So on this one, we're going to come in with our hydrangea in black. And we're going to go ahead and ink it up. I hope that I have that good and inked. All right. We'll stamp that down. You like the darker flowers best? Yeah. All right, so once I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and ink this up a couple more times. And I'm only inking up right in the middle of that hydrangea. Oops. do another one. All right, set that aside, cover up my black ink, move that out of the way. Before I do anything, I need to clean off these stencils. So I've got these stencils that have the fresh freesia on them. I'm going to clean them off because I want to use the blueberry bushel, and even though it's a darker color, it would probably be fine, but I'm not going to take that chance. So really, it's just a matter of wiping them off. I'm using, this is like a chamois from the auto parts store. I've had this for years. This is what I use to clean everything. But you could use just a paper towel, some water. Sometimes if I've really been doing a lot of this stenciling and masking with these, I will take them into my kitchen and run them and clean them off really well so that there's no ink. I don't need to clean the green ones because I'm going to use those, and then I'm going to use the same green. All right, so I'm going to come in here with the see what I mean about it being easier to set up the stencil? All right, so I'm going to go in here. I am going to tape it down. I'm going to tape my paper down too. Let me grab the, there we go. Tape my stencil down. Come in with the blueberry bushel, ink it up. Now I'm sure that this blueberry bushel, I bet is, ooh yeah, see how dark that is? It is really juicy. So I'm going to go ahead and tap it off quite a bit. And then just, it's still very juicy. Put down a light layer. Then I'm going to move my stencil over here. And do a light layer. And then I'm going to move my stencil. I think I did it this way over here. Really messing with myself. I'm going to end up with blueberry bushel on everything. And pick up some of that color, stencil that. There we go. Woo! I'm going to use the blueberry bushel on the next card too, but I probably won't even have to put any on my brush. All right, so now that I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and line this one up. This is the second layer. And I did not put any more ink on it. Do the same thing down here to these two. I'll show you here in a minute why I'm doing this, because one of the dies actually cuts out a few of the flowers so you can layer, which is kind of fun. There's that one. And then I'll line this one up. But you can see how quickly I can figure out how to line those up. After I played with them for a while, it really makes it easy. And then put some color on that. And then the last one comes in. This is probably going to be the hardest one. Oh, there it is. I am going to add a little bit more ink on this because I want these to be a little bit darker. I can't believe how juicy that is. And blueberry bushel is one of those ink pads too recently that I've taken a liking to. And then I'll do this one. Add some ink. And then I'll come over here and do this one. This is probably the most complicated card that I do tonight, only because it has several layers. Pick up some of that blue ink. All right. So once I've done that, I'm going to come in with my dies and show you really quickly here how I do this and pull that off. So this, oh, I didn't do the green. I got to do the green. Sorry. This won't take very long. All right, so here is the leaves. See my fingers? How many blue spots can you get on your card? All right, so I'm coming in with the garden green. I'm just going to do it really lightly. And I'll do the other garden green. Get that lined up there. And do this one a little bit darker. Seems to be moving on me, but that's all right. All right, so then you get your shading. All right, now that I've done that, now I'm going to come in with my die, and I'm going to go ahead and line this up. Grab my tapes off my Big Shot handle, or stamp and cut and emboss machine. That's going to go there, and then this little die here comes in the set, and actually it cuts out these 3 flowers. So it's the flowers that are right above the stem. That's how I figured it out. And then that will line up there, and that would cut that out. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut this out twice, so I can add some dimension to this hydrangea. So you can see how it has dimension to it. So, okay, bought a chamois and have had it for years. Yeah, I bought a chamois years ago. I own the auto parts store, so I could get new ones, but I bought one from there, and I cut it into like 6 pieces. And so I use them, and use them, and use them, and use them, and then just toss them in the washer. And I don't really wash them with nothing more than water. And you don't dry them. So if you leave them in the container that they come in, they'll stay moist for a long time. But once in a while you do have to wash them. Alright, so there's the hydrangea. And then this is the flowers that I'm going to layer with. And they can just get put anywhere as a layering. I'm going to go ahead and cut this other one out here too. So one night, I don't know, I think I did a YouTube live a while back with this stamp set. And I'm telling you, one night, it took me forever to figure out what that die was for and how it actually fit. Once you've got it figured out, though, once you got it, you got it. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this other section out. And take it out of the die. And now I have a couple of sets of dies. Alright, so I took this is my card base. I guess I can move this out of the way. I'm going to take dimensionals. These are actually going to go on. I'm going to put these on with dimensionals. Wait till I show you the other cards that I did, where I did mix up some inks and, oh, excuse me. And these really can just get laid anywhere. If you want that to be dark or not white, because I didn't get, you can always come in with your brush and brush that edge so that it's not white. Same with this one. And the only reason it's not white is because I just didn't put a lot of oomph in the ink there. So a couple of dimensionals on there to give my hydrangeas a little bit of lift. And then on this one, I did again on the back of this, I'm going to put some tape down. And then I took the ribbon, and again, I just started the ribbon off the edge and then looped it around. And I'm just sticking it right to that adhesive that I put on the back. Oh, let me get this little, there we go. And twisting it so that it actually is showing the velvety side. And that's just enough. Oh, let me fix this one. Just to give my card a little bit more texture. And then I'll trim off the edge. And then I'm going to use the dimensionals, which I moved way over here because that's what I do. I'm going to use these edges. I like to make sure I use all of my sheets of dimensionals. This one's coming to a close here. Finally. And then pull off all the backs. Lay my card on there. Add some of the starbursts. I got flipped over. These are so nice and flat. I mean, they're like the flattest embellishments I think we have. And add them on there. And then this is going to go on the inside of my card. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I will probably stamp and decorate the insides of these cards after we're done here. Add this to the inside so I have something to write on. And then I need a piece of basic white scrap to do the banner. So I'm just going to use this edge. And I have to find the stamp. Oh, you're there. I have to be better organized somehow. Not have my stuff like... I come in here and think I'm really going to be organized, and I'm not going to, you know, I'll put this here and I'll put this there and I'll put that there, and then I just start tossing stuff everywhere. All right, so you make a difference. I'm going to do it right along the edge of this cardstock. And then I'm going to cut it with my cutter at like 1/2 inch off. One thing I have noticed is that the blueberry ink takes a little bit longer to dry, and that is why I'm going to cut that edge straight. That's why I end up with blueberry ink all over, because it does take a little bit longer to dry than the other inks. I don't know why. And usually here in the great state of Montana, it's so dry that the ink dries almost immediately. So I cut that into a banner, and then I'm going to just go ahead and attach it with my adhesive. So I'm putting adhesive on this this part, and then this piece I'm going to put in a dimensional because I'm going to have it hang off the flower. So that will make it so, you know, it attaches to the leaves, and then with the dimensional holds it up. So which one do you like better? I like them both, but the black background or the white background? Good question, huh? There's card number 2. All right, this next card is actually my favorite. And I have to tell you that it wasn't my first. I didn't put the embossing on this card until days later after I made it. However, I love it. So I did the mask first. That's what I'm going to do here for you. I'm going to do the mask first, and then I'm going to show you how I embossed it. But isn't that beautiful? I love it with that white. All right. You don't have to love it, because I do. Here is the blueberry bushel background, cardstock base. You like both, Sylvie? Well, thank you. All right, so I have the background, and then I have my piece of designer series paper that I can put on there. And I used I guess I'll use this one. This is going to be layered. This one's going to get cut out with a die, whatever they're called. Something note dies. Anybody remember? All right. So I'm going to go ahead. This time I actually think I will tape down my paper, just because I'm going to be doing using the stencils before I use the stamp. All right. So card number 1. The only thing I'm looking at here is I want to make sure that I have my image inside where the rectangle die will be. So I'm going to use, I believe it's this die. So I want to make sure that there's enough border around it. Does that make sense? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and tape this down. That all that blueberry ink is... I'm going to mark this so I can line up my other dies easy. And then I'm going to come in with blueberry, and look at how dark it is. I'm just going to very lightly put down my first layer of ink. And then I'm actually going to set this over here because I might pick up some of that ink to use. So I'm going to go ahead and line up my rectangle. I'm just asking to have blueberry ink on everything. And this time you really do need to use this corner because you can't see the flower. So it's really hard to line up. So I'll pick up this ink and put another layer on here. I'm going to pick up some more. And I just go around in a circular motion. And hopefully when I lift this up, it starts to look like hydrangeas. See? It does. Yay! And then I'm going to come in, except for that. Oh well. We're going to keep plugging away. You know what I think I did? No, I did it right. Oh, this had been laying on something else. That's all right. I'm going to keep going. Because I just want to show you the technique, and you actually see the card. So when you're laying your mask down on your table next to you, don't lay them on top of each other because then you get blueberry ink all over everything. Okay? This one's going to be really dark. Ooh, like really dark. Lift this up. You can see the hydrangeas beginning to form. And then come in with the green. It's too bad about that spot, but it is what it is. Do the greens. So like I said earlier, you can stamp them first or you can use the mask with them first. Either way works. Just depends on your preference. I'll come in with the darker color here. Can never have too much blue. You know, Stampin' Up! Just told us that the most popular colors of ink are blues, all the blues. All right, so there is the masking done without the blob. I'll just cover it up and then it looks perfect. All right, so once I've done that, I'm gonna go ahead and put these aside. And you can see that on this one, I actually did it a little bit darker green. So, you know, just add more color if you want more color. One of the things I did do on this one was I came in with, so this stamp set has these little stamps. They're just, let me see if I can find the container. Here we go. It has these little stamps. And those are just to stamp inside the hydrangeas to give them a little bit more dimension. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp some on them, because I think it's kind of funny. And I was shocked, honestly, what a difference it made. So I just came in with one of the little stamps, and I'll just do this one, and just did right into the middle of my flowers with the black. But you could use any color. You could use white, you could use any color. I liked the black only because you could really see the shadow of it. And then when I do the white over the top, I think that white really pops in the middle of that. So there's those. So there's a whole bunch of those. Like I said, there's like 5 of those little pieces. All right, so then what I'm going to do is I'm coming in to emboss. And because I've just inked this, that number one, the paper is full of static from my fingers. It's full of oil from my fingers. It's full of stuff. So I would recommend that you definitely need an embossing buddy before you even attempt to do this. Otherwise you'll have white embossing powder all over everything. So I'm going to go ahead and take that embossing buddy and I'm going to rub it over the top of that whole thing. Remember how I told you that that blue has a hard time drying? Make sure it's dry, otherwise you'll end up with a blue embossing buddy. And then I'm going to come in with the Versamark. So I want to make sure that my stamp is clean. Take out my chamois here. Clean it off. I'm taking off that other stamp because I need to see where I'm stamping. All right, so Versamark is a clear ink, clear sticky ink. So I'm going to go ahead, now I've got that clean. I'm going to go ahead and ink up my stamp. And hopefully I can see this without my head getting too far in the way. But what I'm doing is I'm lining it up through the stamp, through the photopolymer stamp, through the glass block, with the part that I use the mask on. And if you're a little bit off, it's okay. So you're going to stamp that down. You want to make sure you stamp it and get a really good impression. And then you're going to take your white embossing powder and sprinkle that over the whole thing. I always use another piece of paper under my embossing so that it's easy to put it back. I don't know if you guys can see this, but that embossing buddy, I have no stragglers, which is amazing. All right, so then once I've done that, before I heat this, I'm going to move this pile back into the jar. And as you probably know, if you're an embosser or use glitter, it has a tendency to grow. Okay, so then get out my heat gun. Heat gun has two settings. It has a setting for drying and a setting for actually embossing. Number 2 is the heat set. I'm going to go ahead and emboss this. I hope you can see it. So you just want to keep your gun moving. A lot of people will emboss from under their cardstock so that they don't burn anything. But I've found as long as I keep that moving, I won't burn my fingers or the cardstock. The thing is with embossing is that it melts, raises up a little bit and melts. But if you heat it too long, if you heat it too long, it'll pop up and then it will go flat. But that is the white embossing powder. That's how I did this card. I'm not going to bother finishing up because this one's wrecked, but as you can see, I used the rectangle die, this one, this bigger one here, to cut that out. So I have a nice textured edge, and then I layered it with a little bit of black and added, you can see the white starbursts in there. And I stamped the thank you friend. So there you have it. If you stamp the thank you friend before you do the embossing, which is what I did here, I actually stamped the thank you friend because I'd done this card and then a couple days later added the white embossing. What I did is I put the Versamark down, I put the powder down, and then I took a little paintbrush and just knocked the powder off where the letters were so that it wasn't embossed. It seems kind of fussy, but it worked. All right, so that's card number 4. Those are my cards for my tutorial. Like I said, in the tutorial you will get the directions, the PDFs, the video, and with any order. Yeah, I am gonna do that because I can use this. I mean, I have it it's kind of messed up here too. But I could probably cut this out and then do a banner of thank you friend right over the top of that. I'm going to do that. Thanks, Jenna. Or no, thanks, Diana. All right, so anyway, if you place an order with me this month, you'll get that tutorial for free. If you put orders over $50, you will get a packet of supplies to make these cards. Cardstock, designer series paper, ribbon, embellishments, la 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 la. And you'll get that at the beginning of May. So if anybody has any questions, now's the time to ask, because I'm out. I'm a little over, 5 minutes over. That's pretty good. 4 cars in an hour. I wasn't sure because they were a little bit more complicated, but not bad. All right. Thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to next week. I will be here on Thursday. I'll be here the next 2 Thursdays, and then I'm gone till May 1st. So come back next Thursday and join me for something. I don't know what. I've been doing a lot of playing lately, so maybe, I don't know. We'll see what kind of technique I'll come up with. I got a mess to clean up, and I will speak with you all next week. Thanks, Sylvia. I hope you learned something. I hope everybody learned something. Take care. Bye-bye.